my divinely guided entrepreneurs. I am so excited to be here again with you today to talk a little bit about habits. Habits are something that have been very near and dear to my heart and have really helped me in my recovery toolkit. And I'm excited to talk to you a little bit more about all of this and why habits are so important. But before that, let's take a moment and take a deep breath and stop for a moment in prayer. Dear God, thank you so much for the beautiful understanding of what habits are, for the ability for us to be called here together and talk more about what habits we want to move forward with, what habits are really supporting us and helping us grow in our divinely guided life, and how you have offered us habits that, like prayer time and devotional reading and meditation with you and affirmations and many of the other great habits that allow us to connect deeper with you. I'm grateful for you for creating those things and putting those things on our hearts to do so that we can become more called in and be able to work more aligned with you and be divinely guided in our work. I pray that you bring the people here that need to hear this message and that we can go forward and support one another. I pray this all in your Son's precious name, Jesus Christ. Amen. So, habits, okay? Why do we talk about habits? Why are habits important? So for the longest time, personally, I struggled a lot with habits. Like I would see them, I would see a new habit I wanted to do, and I would try to do it, and then I'd see another one a week later, and I tried to do that, and I tried to do another one, and I would start week after week adding on all these new habits, yet the one from 4 weeks ago would fall off because I wasn't consistent enough, and I was just picking them up because somebody had said, oh, this is a really good habit, you should try it. And the first thing that I will tell you that I can remember from habits for me was the Miracle Morning. I started reading the Miracle Morning about 5 years ago, and when I first started it, I tried to do it 100% for about a week. And then I got overwhelmed and I stopped. And I've continued to come back to it over the last 5 years. And I've finally gotten to a point where I don't necessarily follow the Miracle Morning to a T the way it's laid out, but I now do every practice of the Miracle Morning at some point in my day, typically early in the morning, in an order that fits for me and that has created a habit that I will continue to do because it helps me and it helps me grow and it helps me be consistent, and it's created this yearning for me. I get up earlier and I want to get up earlier because I want to do more. Like, it's just super fascinating how that happens as you really lean into what is this habit that's on my heart. So I want to give you kind of an example of something like this. So a habit is just simply something that you're doing consistently. We all have good ones. We all have bad ones. Brushing our teeth is a habit that the majority of us do every single day, if not twice a day. Taking a shower. Thought that was something that everybody did. Became a mom. Realized, yeah, I take a shower once every 3 days. Pandemic hit in March, and I realized that was a habit I needed to add into my life because having 2 kids home all the time while trying to work is challenging. But that 5 minutes of peace in the shower is enough to get me through a day. And so it's been really incredible for me to realize how habits can really create change for all of us. They can really create healthy movement in our lives and in our businesses and in our spiritual lives and in many different aspects. But what I found most and that I appreciate most about habits is that they truly do give us a chance to move forward. They give us a chance to see what works for us and what doesn't. I created a habit I think it was March, where I started walking for 15 minutes every day, or running at the time, because I really was like, okay, I want to start running, but I don't know if I can run more than 15 minutes. I don't know if I have the time in my day. And so I started with 15 minutes. And by mid-April to end of April, beginning of May, I was finally up to about a half hour of running or walking every day. And it had become a consistent thing. And then I broke my back in June and I couldn't walk, let alone run. But let me tell you, that habit I created of 15 minutes of movement became a huge part of my recovery. It allowed me to come back from a broken back much more readily because I was walking when I started being able to walk. As much as it was hard and I was told not to go on hills, and we live in a hilly community, I started doing 15 minutes on my deck every day, 15 minutes every day. I can do 15 minutes. It was the most boring 15 minutes, but I started listening to meditations, guided meditations while I was walking. I started listening to devotionals. I started listening to YouTube videos. I started doing things and connecting in a way that made me at least feel a little bit better, and it wasn't as monotonous. And it was because I created the habit a couple months ahead of time and been consistent with it over that time that I was able to very easily come back to that habit. And I found that with very, very many things. And what I have found also is, as I've struggled with disordered eating for a very, probably better part of 10 years at least, one of the biggest things I found is that when I have those habits, they're like my checkpoints, and they keep me in line with my goals, and they help me to stay really focused on my recovery and really focused on moving forward. And one of the things I've learned recently, and I love this habit that I'm working on, is creating a visualization habit. And this is something I've tried 100 times, right? Because it's part of the Miracle Morning. And I've never really, if I'm being honest, I've never been consistent with it because visualization's been hard for me. I have a 5-year-old, and I remember when he was 4.5, I was in this place of like, I cannot like even visualize my 4.5-year-old going to kindergarten. I can't. I can't wrap my brain around it. Like, I know it's going to happen. I'm not disappointed it's going to happen. It's going to give me more one-on-one time with my daughter. It's going to give me an option to, do some more work potentially while she naps. Like, I was not disappointed in any way that he was going to kindergarten. But what I've realized, and why visualizations become easier for me, is I think the reason I couldn't visualize it is because it wasn't going to happen. I feel like my brain knew that he wasn't starting kindergarten until this year. When he turns 6, he'll start kindergarten this fall. And I think it's really interesting that my brain knew that, but I didn't. My brain was already processing it. My brain had already gotten that far. God had already put the idea in my head that there was something different for this year. And I still can't visualize him going to kindergarten. Maybe he's not going to go. Maybe we're going to homeschool. I have no idea. That's all God's plan, and it will unfold as the days come closer. But it was just really interesting, but it gave me that moment of like, oh, visualization is possible. I'm just trying too hard for things that might not be meant to be visualized. And so I started this new visualization practice. And again, what I tried to do was I tried to just like do it every single day at different times, but just make sure I get it done every day. So I learned this technique called habit stacking. And so I've been able to be able to, sorry. You guys all know this is a messy action thing, so you get what you get, but thank you for allowing me to mess up my words there. So what I found is that because I've learned about habit stacking, instead of like going full on, like I got to do this every single day, by the end of the day, I figured out what is something that I already do every day that I can anchor to that visualization technique. And so it's been really cool. It's now just become a bigger part of my Miracle Morning. And it's a 4-minute visualization that I do. And it's really helped me, again, move forward. And it's really become something that it's part of my day, and it's only been a couple days that I've been doing it. But what I've been finding is things are able to stick better when I habit stack. It's not like, I'm not saying that you don't still need 21 days to get your brain to start thinking that way, or 66 days for it to really root in. You're still going to need that longevity to keep it going. But I find it's not as painful, and it's not as grueling to continue to go forward because my brain is already there. My brain already knows, oh, well, you already take a shower. So if you make the habit that your shower is going to be cold, and then you make the habit after the shower that you're going to do 10 jumping jacks, because you already do that cold shower, the 10 jumping jacks will just be second nature because you're stacking it with the thing that you have already become strong with. And so that's something that I've really found a lot of power in, and I've really found a lot of excitement and energy in, because I'm able to add things. And so as I add things in work, I found that I have a checklist of things I do every day. And over time, I've been able to add one or two things that seemed like they were falling through the cracks. I've been able to add them in because of the fact that I have that ability of stacking them. Now that I've become consistent with working every day, now I can add this activity I want to do. I can add birthday connections to my list. I can add working through my Trello systems every day. I can add those things that really do help. And it's just been really cool. And I definitely love that part, is like that habit stacking allows you to really anchor in that thing. So foam rolling is something that I was doing really, really consistently before I broke my back, and I just haven't gotten back into it, but I still want to. And so over the next couple weeks, it's something I plan on slowly starting to integrate, but I have to find what that thing is that I'm going to anchor it around. Is it around bedtime? Is it around wake up? Is it around lunchtime? What is it around that I'm going to anchor it to? So I know the cue is every day at lunchtime, I'm going to foam roll for 5 minutes. When lunchtime happens, doesn't matter what time, but when lunchtime happens, I do my 5 minutes of foam rolling before I get to eat. And it's like almost like a reward system, right? And so it's definitely a really big thing, and it's really something I encourage everyone to look into, is habit stacking. I learned about habit stacking through a couple of trainings. I've also read Tiny Habits, which talks a little bit more about the anchoring and the habit stacking. And I also know Atomic Habits is really great in terms of, again, finding those small habits that can really make a difference. So I really pray that this hits your heart in a way that allows you to help yourself and get your habits back on track with where you want to go. I really pray that you are able to come up with some habits and bring them to God. Ask God if they're the habit He wants for you, and He'll let you know. I will tell you, my walks with Him in the morning at 5 a.m., it was something I thought about giving up for a while. And then I brought it to Him, and I was pretty clearly told, like, no, this is something you need to keep doing. And it's so incredible when you get that confirmation from God that you're on the right path and you're doing the right things. It really, really helps to continue to solidify where you're at. So with that being said, I hope you guys all have a great day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye now.